Wow, the Women's Royal Rumble match was one of the best matches on the card. We saw 30 talented women get in that ring and kick ass. We know who the eventual winner was, which, of course, my Bianca Belair stand card still stands. So obviously, I was extremely excited to see Bianca win. Iridian, how did you feel about this match?
Oh man, the women's Royal Rumble match is the one match that I probably look forward to the most besides like the men's. I feel like it's just a higher excitement. You're just like, man, these are my girls. And I've been waiting for this, for a long time. We didn't have a women's Royal Rumble. So for
Right.
them to be able to show up and show out and out wrestle the men and outperform the men is just something that I always look forward to.
Who were your guys' like surprise entrants? Like you weren't expecting to see them. You got really excited for them to come on screen. Katrina, who did you see that kind of made you mark out that you couldn't believe they were back in the WWE or you were excited for them to be in the match?
For me, it was Victoria. I loved Victoria when she was in WWE before. I always felt like the WWE kind of like pushed her to the background, like she wasn't one of the most amazing women wrestlers they had there. So when I saw her come out with her gear, I like had like a whole meltdown. I was like, "Oh my god, Victoria!" At first, for her gear was like absolute fire. I was like, the whole Spider-Man thing happening. And then even though, it seemed like she was wearing a brace and that kind of took a little bit away from it, I was just happy to see her again because she is, for me, one of the best women that WWE has ever signed. So for me, like it was cool to see Jillian Hall just because her gimmick was like, silly and I appreciated that. But Victoria was my girl. So it was just super amazing to see her again to wrestle.
Ella, I know you love you some Victoria. You work with the GAW podcast. What were your thoughts seeing her finally come out to that ring and just get in there and kick ass?
Well, to be honest, I knew about her return beforehand, but actually seeing it happen live got me so emotional. I was like on FaceTime with one of my friends and I didn't know what number she was coming out as. So when her music hit at number 10, I got so emotional because I knew all these amazing spots were coming up and she did her Widow's Peak on Peyton, which is kind of like getting her revenge because Peyton uses the Widow's Peak now, so that was a fun moment. But also like Katrina said, like Jillian returning Billy and Jilly was a really fun spot. And we haven't seen Jillian Hall in 10 years, right? So that
Right.
one was a really fun spot. And then we saw Tori and Mickey James and Alicia Fox coming back was super, super fun. Alicia always breathes life into whatever she's doing. So Alicia coming back was really, really fun. But Victoria got me really, really emotional. I was so happy for her. I think she did really, really well.
My girl Court Kim, Naomi returned. We have been waiting for her to return. Last year, she came back at the Royal Rumble. In my opinion, I don't think she was utilized properly throughout that next time within 2020. We really didn't see her a lot. It was like a karaoke contest, and then she was injured, had some family stuff going on. We didn't see her. How did you feel seeing her come in at that number two spot to face off against Bailey?
I'm really hyped to see Naomi as the number two spot, especially seeing how far she went within the women's Royal Rumble at large. She did what needed to be done. She looked fantastic. I really enjoyed her gear. It was really wonderful. I love the orange and I loved her hair, like the intention with like having curly hair for her debut back. She knew what like it was time to perform and she did that. And I hope that she was proud of her performance because it was just amazing from start to finish for me.
Samira, so the last three people in this match were Charlotte Flair, Rhea Ripley, and Bianca Belair. And once Charlotte Flair got kicked out or eliminated, I think it really changed the mindset of people. People were eager that we were finally going to have one of the newer talent, be a Royal Rumble winner. How did you feel in that moment when you saw Charlotte Flair go over that top rope and it was just Rhea and Bianca left?
I was very excited. Like I did like a live reaction and like I was just hoping Bianca would win. She was like my number one pick. And I was like a newer person needs to get to win the Rumble. Like not Charlotte 2 years in a row. Like she's already had her chance. Like let somebody else have it. And then once she went over, I was like, oh my God, like somebody's gonna get it. And I just like, come on, Bianca, come on, Bianca. So I was really, really happy that she won. And even if Rhea won, I would have been happy too, because it would have been interesting to see who she would have chosen too.
I want to get everyone's thoughts on Bianca winning. Viridian's laughing. I love Bianca Belair, and I talked about it previously, but we've seen, her struggles over the weeks going back and forth with Bailey. We've seen her not win that NXT Women's Championship. And it really put a sour taste in people's mouth because we know how much she's capable of. We see how she works in the ring. We see how she cuts these amazing promos. We knew her time was coming. And I could really appreciate that chronicle where they laid everything out from her career when, before she was in the WWE and to now. But seeing that moment, Katrina, how did you feel?
Well, I was watching it with a friend of mine. So she was my pick, and I felt like once the Chronicle happened, I was like, okay, she's winning this. You're not gonna give us all of this. I mean, I love Bianca since the beginning. I hated that she didn't get that NXT title. I was like mad about that for like 2 months. Like whoever would listen to me complain, I'm like, so nobody else mad. Like I'm mad right now about this. I was just really upset. So when I figured she was my pick, I felt like this is her time. And the whole spot with her and Naomi was amazing with like Naomi grabbing her braid and they kind of shimmied themselves. But I love, a part of me was like, you don't touch black girls' hair, you don't touch the hair. But also it was like you guys are helping each other at the same time. So I love that spot. So to have Naomi make it that far and then to have Bianca win it was just everything to me. Like I felt at one point I was gonna cry because I'm just like the amount of history she made in that one moment to be like the first Black woman to do so, the second Black person in general to win a Royal Rumble, and she's still so young and she's so herself. Like her gimmick is her gimmick, but she's also very real in that gimmick. And I love that she didn't have to water herself down to be accepted by the WWE universe. So for me, it was like an amazing thing. Like I was like near tears for me because I was just like, this is like I'm telling my children, I was like, you guys, I'm like, keep talking to you guys, like you guys care that much about me talking about this, but I'm like, this is amazing. She made history. Like this is just everything like Black girl magic that she did. She put it all out there at the Royal Rumble. So for me, it was like one of the most awesome moments, I think, for the last 5 years for me in WWE.
Court, how did you feel?
My goodness. Oh my goodness. Like, I'm so sorry. I'm thinking about it, like as she's talking about it, like I'm reliving the moment again. Obviously Bianca Belair was my number one pick. I've talked to you about my love and adoration for her before, but Bianca Belair, she's the reason why I really got into wrestling as hard as I am now. There's just something so beautiful watching a Black woman just being so eloquent and just like phenomenal at what she does and like living that and owning that truth. And you see it through all of her matches through NXT, into her transition with SmackDown now. And we definitely saw that at the Women's Royal Rumble. Like Katrina said, that chronicle, it was just so thorough and we learned so much about her. And after you watched that special, you knew that something like really magical was going to happen for her. You couldn't learn all of those beautiful things about her and just like have that just be it. Otherwise, I mean, that happened. We've seen that happen before, but with her, no, I didn't think that would happen here. And to actually like watch her win, I cried. I definitely, I cried. I was just super excited to watch history being made on the eve of Black History Month. Like they could not have done that moment better, especially the promo at the end, like the interview at the end. Like she really knows how to like hit the emotional points with the fan bases. Like she really knows how to be authentic. She knows how to speak from a place of like true like honor and like hard work. And she's just my favorite. And I'm so excited to see her at WrestleMania going for a championship that has been long overdue. And I'm calling it. I hope she wins one. Like that's what I want for her, and that's what I hope to see. So yeah.
Ella, who are you hoping to see Bianca Belair go up against at WrestleMania? We know that she has either the choice of Asuka, who is the Raw Women's Champion, or she has the choice of Sasha Banks, who is SmackDown Women's Champion, or she could go back for that NXT title and challenge Io Shirai. Who would you like to see her face off against?
I think we're all thinking Sasha.
Yeah.
And I agree with that. But also I am kind of intrigued by Io and Bianca, but I think that Io's going to be involved with Tony or Mercedes. So I think they're going to go the direction of Sasha and Bianca, which I think is incredible, but it's more intriguing too because as of right now, they are both baby faces. So at some point between now and Mania, they're going to have to turn one of them, or perhaps maybe we will get a face versus face show off at WrestleMania. And it's interesting to see which of them, because they're so beloved superstars, which of them the crowd is going to get behind more. It's going to be like a rivalry coming up with them. So I think they can create pure magic because they are two of the biggest draws and biggest athletes and amazing characters in WWE today. And so I'm definitely leaning towards Sasha versus Bianca at Mania. I think that's the direction they will go and that they should go, but everybody has a different opinion, but we'll see.
Samira, what do you think?
Definitely Sasha versus Bianca. I mean, I think that's what everybody wants to see. I keep seeing it on Twitter, everywhere. I feel like they would have good chemistry together and it would just be so amazing, especially since even Bianca is on SmackDown, Sasha's on SmackDown, so it would work and up until WrestleMania it would work. But maybe titles will change at the same time. We still got like one more pay-per-view left. Titles could change for all we know.
We saw the tender moment between Montez Ford and Bianca Belair after she won the match that was on exclusively on the WWE network. Iridian, you sent it to me, I believe. Well, how did you feel about that moment? I saw something earlier where I guess Montez was actually locked out of the building. They had to let him in. Like he almost missed that moment. I know he almost missed that moment. So to see that moment, how did you feel? Montez is his own superstar, but to see your wife make history, as Katrina said, the first Black woman to win a Royal Rumble and the second Black person to win a Royal Rumble in general between men and women. How did that moment make you feel?
It was just beautiful moment after beautiful moment. Like it couldn't have been more perfect for Bianca to win and then to get backstage and see her husband and everyone was clapping for her. She was in tears. I was in tears. I didn't know how to feel. I had so many emotions, but like there was even videos of her parents reacting to the world. Got to see that and it was just perfection, honestly. And Montez was locked out. I heard that Hurricane Helms and Casey Catanzaro had to go run backstage to go get him from security, which was crazy. I'm like, you almost were not there for your wife winning the Royal Rumble. You could have missed it. But luckily he made it there on time. And it was just so beautiful. Like, I feel like for them to even release that video, it warmed my heart.
It was really good. It was like excellent. And I'm really, really happy that we got to see a women's Royal Rumble like that in my lifetime. I'm very excited about it. I'm going to watch it again probably later.
Would we say this was the best women's Royal Rumble that we've seen? Okay, I have head shakes already. A lot of people online were saying it was much better than last year's. It was better than the year before. Why do you think it was so much better than the previous years? I'll start with Katrina.
Like the first women's Royal Rumble, I was just hyped we were getting it finally. Like I always felt the women sometimes do outperform the men, and when it's time for them to deliver, they do. So I was just happy to have that. And then I love Lita. So when she came back, I had like a whole meltdown about that because she's like my favorite, one of my favorites of all time. So, but it seemed like everybody was on a mission at this Royal Rumble. Like Bayley was like one of the MVPs to me. She took like every bump you can think of from like every woman was just giving her and she was taking it. There were the parts that was just, you can tell it was like funny and everybody going for Alexa Bliss when she got there. And everybody's like, let's just get rid of her at this moment. And I was like, look at the teamwork happening right now. Like, it just was no part of the Royal Rumble where I was like, it felt boring or I felt like, can I run to the bathroom really quick? I really was just really invested in watching the Royal Rumble from start to finish. So I just felt like everybody was just on a mission to prove what I feel like most women wrestling fans know already, that they can deliver. But they did so from the very beginning to when Bianca was like pointing and saying, this is, her. And I'm like, yes, thank you, WWE, for giving me this. They just, from the whole start to finish, is probably the best. And the Royal Rumble in general, it overall was really solid pay-per-view. But that was the best part, was the women's Royal Rumble for me. It was just from start to finish, just absolutely amazing, perfect. And even the story with Rhea and Charlotte. And I was like, oh, I knew this was going to happen because of what happened at NXT last year. And I was like, how nobody else saw this happen. I was so happy. Like, yes, this is the story time. This is me, girls time. Get Charlotte out of here. I was just so involved in it that it was just like, perfect from start to finish. So I just think they did what we all knew they could do anyway. And I kind of wish they would have closed off the show Like, I get Edge closing it off. I do understand that, but I felt like because Edge has been here before, and of course the story is like, you've been gone for a while, you got hurt when you came back. Great story, but I felt like they delivered so much, they should have closed out Royal Rumble personally. I think they should have been the women's Royal Rumble match. But outside of that one gripe, I did really enjoy like what they did for us at the Royal Rumble.
Speaking of moments that we saw during the match that made us excited, we saw Mickie James and Charlotte Flair face off, and I know Ella was freaking out. Those are her two favorite superstars, and she had the chance to speak to Charlotte Flair this week and ask her about that moment. Could you share a little bit with us, Ella, about what she said?
Yeah, so I mean, it's been highly anticipated, at least from me, because we have never seen, since Mickie James has been back, we have never seen Mickie and Charlotte in a match together or in the ring together at any point, whether because they're on different brands or Mickie was injured. And so when Mickie came out at number 19, I guess the spot wasn't planned, which I was shocked at. Charlotte told me it kind of just happened because Mickie was like kicking butt or in like doing her moves and stuff, and then they just looked at each other and they were the two that stood up at the same time. And so as Mickie described it, sometimes magic just happens, and we saw just a little glimpse of what those two could do. I think Charlotte said they wanted it to go, oh no, Mickie said that she wanted it to go a little longer, but they gave us a little taste of the magic they can produce. So fingers crossed we finally get that one-on-one matchup between two of the most decorated champions in WWE history. So
Like you said, this Royal Rumble was very magical, and I am very excited and glad that Bianca won. Um, I hope that she wins that title. I would love to see her and Sasha Banks go up against each other. So it's just a matter of time before those two get together in the ring and make magic. But thank you guys so much for joining me, Katrina and Court, our guests for this segment. Where can the people find you on social media?
I'm on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and Cat We Trust. On Instagram and Twitter, the Easy Three, but Facebook it's spelled correctly. And I do I usually interview indie wrestlers, and then I talk about other random things. So that's where you can catch me. Again, I'm like already assesses. If you see me ranting, that's usually what it is. Something like, oh my God, let me rant about this for a while, and it's okay, I'm fine. Just let me rant. But that's where you can find me on social media.
And for me, I am at the Court Cam on Twitter and Instagram. I'm a culture journalist, and I usually do like pop culture stuff. But this year, I really want to get into wrestling journalism because that's like what I love. So hopefully, I'm like welcomed with open arms, and maybe you'll see some stuff from me this year. So yeah.